Alright y'all, so for today's video, we're going to be looking at the deep, dark truth behind the Triple K, the KKK. We're going to be talking about its origins, how it came about, who founded it, who funded it, and is it still relevant to this very day? When many of us think about the KKK, we automatically assume that it's about a hate organization and it's more so about black versus white supremacy. That may be true, but it goes deeper than that. We're going to be talking about secret societies, the hidden agenda behind the Triple K, the Ku Klux Klan. Be prepared for what I show and tell y'all. This organization was being spread not just throughout the South, but it was also being spread in the North as well. This goes for mayors, politicians, government officials, your world leaders. The main goal behind the KKK is about control and power, more so than just targeting a group of people. Everything is meant to program our subconscious mind. So if we see things for a long period and span of time, we start to think of these things, and then we start to become fearful of the things that we see, and we put power into the things that we fear. Because if we fear these things so often, we give them power. Oh well, these people will be coming, so then it gets you riled up and it brings mass hysteria. It doesn't help. If a person or anybody or a group or organization can get people riled up, that organization has more control and power over these people's actions, how they react to the thing that they've pushed in their face. KKK is an agenda. Ask yourselves, who runs the world? Who leads the world? Who funds everything that you see today? Who funds the churches? Who funds big pharma? Who funds all these things? Who funds entertainment industry? Who is the guy behind the scene? Those same people that run everything. They have major power. The power that we give them, the power that we put into them. Funded civil rights movement. They funded the BLM movement, and they also funded the Triple K. They fund major companies, major corporations as well. And the documents that I show y'all is definitely going to raise your level of awareness about the true world and what is really going on. People think that the KKK has been washed away and it's not really, existing now. No, it's always existed. It just goes by many different names that nobody can trace back their true origins and how they originally started. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it. First document I'm gonna be showing y'all is called The Rothschilds' Roots of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. Here, I'm gonna highlight it. It says, the political evolution of the Knights of the Triple K was a direct outcome of policies initiated during the first half of the 19th century by the British aristocracy and their court Jews, the Rothschilds. Pay attention to that. The combined capabilities of the secret societies controlled by these circles, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the B'nai B'rith, Order of the Sons of the Covenant, and the Jesuits, Society of Jesus. They allowed the British and allied black Guelph circles to nearly destroy the foundations of the United States Republic through assassinations, including that of Abraham Lincoln, terrorist operations, and general subversion activity, culminating in the war between the states. These are terrorists. You have government officials, you got mayors, you got presidents, you got people who are of high status, and your world leaders. They are part of this, and they tell you something that goes on. It's mostly the fact that they have started it. They have created wars. It's always been them. Everything that they come out with, oh well, we have UFOs, and oh we have this, those are funded by the government. And the terrorists that they talk about, they're talking about themselves. I'm gonna go on. Next, it says, the starting point for unraveling this vast conspiratorial apparatus is the Knights of the Golden Circle. The Knights of the Golden Circle combined the network of individuals associated directly with the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, B'nai B'rith, and the Jesuits. Practically the entire Confederate leadership belonged to the KGC at the point of the secessionist crisis in 1860. It is through tracing the lineage of the KGC that the KKK becomes an understandable phenomenon. The British initiated an intensive subversion effort aimed at taking over and destroying the Franklin organized Freemason networks that functioned as the organizing body for the revolution. The explicit counter-operation was the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry under the control of the British Black Guelph Knights of Malta organization. It was because of this effort that many of the individuals who served the British in the KGC were also members of the Scottish Rite. It is equally significant that the abolitionist societies of New England, as well as the entire secessionist states' rights movement, were all financed and basically controlled through the Rothschild-bearing bankers of the British monarchy. This political intelligence profile will concentrate on the closely connected evolution of three secret societies or organizations: the Knights of the Golden Circle, the B'nai B'rith, and the KKK, the Triple K. They funded the Triple K. They also funded the Civil Rights Movement. They also funded the NAACP. Now, 1965, Civil Rights Movement. That's when they integrated schools. I'm not saying I'm over with one or the other. I'm saying I'm trying to make a point here. Not so much about Democrat and Republic. Democrat and Republic, they're two of the same kind. Democrats and Republics in these secret organizations. It's about control, manipulation, and power. Manipulating people into thinking that these things actually exist when they really don't. They're just an illusion and a distraction. I'm gonna go on. Originating out of the 1828 to 32 nullification crisis, the KGC was not officially established until 1854 under the direction of Dr. George William Lamb Bickley. Bickley had been trained in botany at the University of London in the 1840s, then redeployed back into the US. Prior to the official surfacing of the KGC, however, the Southern Rights Clubs were established during the height of Andrew Jackson's presidency. Their structure was identical with that of the Southern branch of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, with its prime political focus centered on a three-point program. As stated in the KGC's manual, the 3 points were, listen to this, to reestablish the slave trade, acquire new slave territory, destroy the U.S. Constitution as a tyrannical document. In 1854, Bickley surfaced with the organization known as the Knights of the Golden Circle under the banner of creating a democratic monarchy in North America. Its first operation was to organize paramilitary terrorism in Central America, Mexico, and Cuba, the purpose of which was to instigate a war between the U.S. and Spain. They were trying to start a war that was not needed. One of his most successful early ventures was under the direction of William Walker, who organized a military coup in Nicaragua in 1855. Also, I forgot to mention, the Rothschilds funds the military, education, architecture, you name it. That's the Rothschilds. Rothschilds fund movements that destroy and distract. The next phase of the KGC's activity was to organize a military coup in the U.S. before Lincoln could be inaugurated. The KGC was used primarily as the main terror force to ensure that the key southern states voted for secession. Its stated organizational purpose indicates the extent of its intention at the time of the 1860 election of Lincoln: secure all U.S. arsenals, sabotage reconciliation between North and South, concentrate on the borders, coerce state legislators or governors into voting for secession, elect legislators to vote for secession, bring armed men, from the cotton states, southern states, set up Knights of the Safety Guards, watch over men who were doubtful about secession, to coercion, organized guerrilla bands to harass Union troops. Northern members were instructed to play hypocrite roles by loudly supporting Union efforts in order to act as spies. Assassination and terror. In short, the intention of the secessionists is to have a more powerful monarchy than England, according to KGC member Jim Pumphrey. The belief structure of the KGC was the following. Now here we go about the symbolism. Everything has symbolic meaning. They understand the metaphysics behind this stuff. They know about energy. They know about esoteric knowledge. They know about the occult. They studied it. They learned it. Its symbols were the glowing sun and 15 stars emblazoned on a crescent with a triangle with the numbers 3, 7, and 5 placed in each angle, with R61 in the middle of the triangle. The R meant revolution, and the 61 meant 1861, in other words, revolution in 1861. Meetings took place in castles or lodges, which were organized on the local, state, and national level. On the state level, they were referred to as Grand State Castles, with a delegate body sent to the Grand United States Castle or American Legion. KGC was divided into 3 degrees or levels. The first degree was the Foreign and Home Guards. The second degree was commercial and financial, and the last one, the highest degree, was the political governing body, the American Legion. Each degree was divided into divisions, which were in turn divided into departments. The 10 departments comprising a division were, check this out, agriculture, education, manufacturing, finance, religion, police, war, navigation, law, and a foreign office. Thus, when the Confederate government was established, the KGC was its ready-made leadership body, with 65,000 KGC members in the South and several members of President Buchanan's cabinet, also members of the KGC. The plot to pull off a military coup nearly succeeded. The KGC planned the murder of Lincoln. It was only due to the efforts of General Winfield Scott that the plan did not succeed until 4 years later. During the Civil War, the KGC was used to run subversion through the Democratic Party faction known as the Copperheads, or anti-war Democrats, with a plan for provoked outbreaks of violence and terror, combined with Confederate military operations in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and the cities of Chicago and New York. The Confederacy aimed to destroy the North's ability to fight. Draft riots, aided by Jesuit priests, with the cooperation of the mayors of New York and Chicago, Fernando Wood and Edward Walsh, as key conspirators, were designed to stop the war by forcing a negotiated settlement. Through Thompson and another top British operative operating in Canada named George Sanders, the plan to assassinate Lincoln was finalized. The assassination was carried out by John Wilkes Booth, a member of the KGC. He was a part of this secret society, or the secret organization, along with John Harrison Surratt, who had been trained by Jesuits at Jesuit Georgetown College, now known as Georgetown University. The two were under the immediate direction of Benjamin and Thompson. Most of the intelligence garnered and reported by Union counter-espionage operations was suppressed at the Lincoln assassination trial by Secretary of War Edwin Stanton. Stanton had known Benjamin quite intimately since 1850, when both were deployed by the U.S. government as members of the California Land Commission. Stanton headed up the commission and had Benjamin as his able assistant. It is now known that not only did John Harrison Surratt escape capture through the efforts of 2 Jesuit priests and wound up in the Papal Zouaves, but that Booth also escaped. The cover-up killing of Booth at Garrett's farm was carried out by Union officers who were highest degree members of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So these are a whole bunch of Masons. Even the head of the National Detective Bureau, Lafayette C. Baker, who was later poisoned to death, revealed in documents only recently published that he knew that the individual found in the burned out barn was not Booth. It wasn't John Wilkes. The KGC underwent several facelifts to prevent detection and rechristened itself. The Order of the American Knights and the Sons of Liberty were two names it took before it became what we all know it as, Ku Klux Klan. Y'all remember how I was talking about how, they go under many different names to not be able to have people trace their origins or trace their tracks? No Illuminati. You have all these entertainers talking about, oh yeah, I'm the one with the Illuminati. They're not going to tell you no stuff like that. They're not ever going to tell you no stuff like that. They may tell you in subliminal messages, but they're not going to say verbatim, oh yeah, I'm part of this, part of a secret society. They're not going to tell you that. Take the KKK for example. They're not going to tell you what they're doing. Also, it also talked about how they wanted the slave trade and how they, it was all about trying to get a people to work under their manipulation, under their power. You think you got so many of these leaders talking about, oh yeah, we need more books, we need more education, we need more workers. It's a mental slavery. It's not physical. Because when you train a person to think in a particular way, they go in this never-ending loop. I want you to ask yourself this question as well. Who was it that wanted to integrate? It wasn't black people. It wasn't white people. It wasn't nobody. It wasn't the people that you see in this everyday existence. It wasn't us. Because they know if you condition a person to think in a particular manner, you can control their actions and their behavior towards one another. Once you separate people and you tell them and whisper in their ear who they are and how this other team is against them, and then you go over here and tell them a whole bunch of lies about this other team and how they against them, and then you want to integrate them, manipulating. I'm gonna read on. I'm gonna read the last couple passages. By 1860, this secret order had established the international Zionist networks under the name of the Israelite Universal Alliance. It was the combination of the B'nai B'rith and the Knights of the Golden Circle that gave birth to the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Importantly, the whole Order of Zion project was developed during the late 1830s and early 1840s by the Earl of Shaftesbury and Benjamin Disraeli. An 1862 expose by Samuel Morse on the present attempt to dissolve the Union, a British aristocratic, forgive me for pronouncing that word, aristocratic plot, identified Shaftesbury as the organizer and funder operating from Exeter House in London of the abolitionist movement, and the U.S. Disraeli, later to become Britain's prime minister, was the key 19th century figure around which the Zionist networks were built. Disraeli himself, a Sephardic Jew, became part of the cult of ISIS after an 1830-31 sojourn to Malta, Greece, Turkey, and Jerusalem. The belief structure of the KKK was nearly identical to that of the Knights of the Golden Circle. The fiery cross became the symbol of the new order, with dress and other formalities identical to the KGC and the Knights of Malta, the hooded ones. So you know how you see those triangular hoodies, how we see and perceive the KKK to be? Yeah, that's what they talking about. The use of the Greek word kuklos, etymology of kukos, meaning circle, or when you think about a circle, think of like an organization, emphasized the continuity with the Knights of the Golden Circle and underlined the belief in the magical power of the circle, a derivative from the ancient cult practices of antiquity. The KKK's usefulness to the Rothschilds and the British aristocracy was its aid in preventing any semblance of Lincoln's Reconstruction effort from succeeding. Originally led by Imperial Wizard General John T. Morgan, who during the Civil War had participated in the KGC's attempt to foment uprisings in the North. The KKK was then turned over to a leader more suitable to the circumstances of the postbellum South, the world's first guerrilla warfare expert, Nathan Bedford Forrest. The terrorist campaigns that ensued thanks to the KKK are well documented. After the Reconstruction era, the KKK was dormant for a few decades, but it was resurrected in 1915 when two members of the Knights of Malta Red Cross organization formed something called the Invisible Empire under the direction of a man named William Joseph Simmons. The essential difference between the original Klan and this new version was while members of the original Klan could be Jewish or Catholic, the new belief structure was that of a race, purist cult. Their agenda. Remember, I was telling y'all, the race factor was a big agenda. It was to get people distracted and to destroy themselves from the inside out. The Nordic myth used to reorganize the KKK was a parallel deployment to the development of the Nazi ideology a few years later. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's electoral victory in the South was due to the role of the Southern Roosevelt's clubs, organized by the KKK. Meanwhile, the well-documented terror operation against Southern blacks continued. The reemergence of the KKK during the late 1950s and 1960s was again centered in the South, and now its purpose was to foment race war between blacks and whites. I'm gonna read that again. The reemergence of the KKK during the late 1950s and 1960s was again centered in the South. Now its purpose was to foment race war between blacks and whites. With the other side of the setup, the civil rights movement, largely under the control of the various liberal British-controlled networks acting through the B'nai B'rith Anti-Defamation League and allied institutions, the contrived race war scenario enjoyed significant success. Today, that same terror capability is still in place and still under the same control of the same influences or the same forces. They had a bigger agenda, and people ate from the palm of what they had in their hand. It wasn't about race. It was nothing but a secret society. They're cultists. They're cultists. They went by the Order of the American Knights. They went by the Sons of Liberty. And before that was the Knights of the Golden Circle, Masons. You had Catholics, you had Jews. I forget to mention, they was back in the 1800s, they was going to churches trying to spread their religion. They was basically going from door to door trying to recruit people into their religions. I also seen some sources where they said that the KKK is a Christian organized religion. But there's many people that don't even realize how the KKK began. You know, when I was talking about the civil rights movement, how the Rothschilds was funding the civil rights movement, yeah. Martin Luther King, he was friends with the Rothschild. There's so much stuff to uncover. They put up so many curtains. This is a world stage. They already know who their next president is going to be. In these organizations and in these societies, they're just like, they're fraternal organizations. They have connections. Okay, so you're gonna pick Jonas to be the next president. That's how they do. Rothschilds, they have funded, like I said, they have funded the civil rights movement. They funded BLM movement. They funded other movements that didn't really benefit us. Supported the NAACP. But think about this, they never funded the BPP, Black Panther Party. Black Panther Party was all about helping their community. After we integrated and everything, all of a sudden it's a war on drugs. They set that up. They set up that war on drugs. Everything that they have always said has always backfired. Now let's go on to these videos that I come across that is really eye-opening.
In this automobile, Reserve Lieutenant Colonel Lemuel Penn was killed by a shotgun blast while riding through Colbert, Georgia. Arrested for this crime were 4 Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. 2 Klansmen were tried and acquitted. In a few short months, 5 murders, 13 alleged members of the Ku Klux Klan said to be involved in the killings. When such an order as this moves in and takes over the police power, you are completely at their mercy. And their atrocities and their violence can be visited on anybody that disagrees with them in any given situation. What started as a joke 100 years ago, when a group of men donned bedsheets for a romp, has over the years attracted to it persons charged with acts of harassment, intimidation, and violence throughout the South. Even though the nation has been outraged for many years, the Ku Klux Klan persists with its bizarre ritual and trappings. But 100 years is a long time for a joke.
CBS Reports presents the Ku Klux Klan, the Invisible Empire. Here is CBS News correspondent Charles Gouraud.
Good evening. The Ku Klux Klan is a secret organization which for 100 years has been allowed to exist in this country. Virtually every president of the United States in the past century has said the Klan has little regard for constituted authority. President Johnson, following the murder of Mrs. Liuzzo in Alabama, defined the Ku Klux Klan as a hooded society of bigots and warned Klansmen to get out of the Klan and return to a decent society before it is too late. After the president's warning, the House Un-American Activities Committee started a full-scale investigation of the Klan, and open hearings are scheduled for next month. The hearings will present witnesses, not only Klansmen, but also victims of Klan activity. However, the committee will not attempt to show the Klan in action. For the next hour, we will take a close look at the Ku Klux Klan from the inside out, examine its leadership, its ritual, its secret initiation, its record of violence. By 1925, the Ku Klux Klan was big business. Almost 6 million Americans now belonged to the Klan, and the organization was grossing $75 million a year. Some 40,000 Klansmen and Klanswomen crowded into Washington on August 8, 1925, to parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. To help the Klan coffers, a flag was used to catch money thrown in by spectators. Pennsylvania Avenue. To help the Klan coffers, a flag was used to catch money thrown in by spectators.
It was about 3 to 5 million. 3 to 5 million people. Part of these organizations that go by many different names. And they're not just in the South. It was very much prevalent in the North, just like it was in the South. Public leaders, public officials, United offices. It's more than just about race. It's about manipulation, control, and power. They use esoteric symbols. They use colors. They use specific robes. They use specific colored robes, hand gestures. They understand the etymology and the symbolic meaning behind everything. Everything on a metaphysical level. They understand and understand. They studied it. Perfected it. They know that everything is energy. And these people have orchestrated a whole agenda to distract and destroy and to manipulate it, to take power and control over the masses, creating mass hysteria. I'll read from this other article that I just came across as well. It says, like many other secretive societies, the KGC had an elaborate ritual with codes, signs, and passwords, and complicated plans for its military and governing operations. Knights were grouped into 3 divisions, like I was mentioning in the other document that I had read to y'all. It was grouped into 3 divisions: the military, commercial, and financial, each of which was in turn divided into 2 classes. For example, the military division comprised the foreign guard, those men who wished to participate in the wild, glorious, and thrilling adventures of a campaign in Mexico, and the home guard men who would support military efforts from home. Bickley created on paper at least an army of 16,000 men. The Knights of the Golden Circle was founded by George Bickley. And it also goes to say that during the Civil War, leaders of the KGC served in the Confederate Army not as members of the society's military division per se, but simply as soldiers in the Southern cause. And their cause was to take control, infiltrate, In order to take control over somebody, you have to make amends with your enemies. Connect, make it look like y'all are friends. And try to learn them, study them, and gut them from the inside out. The KGC itself probably received greater attention during the war for its supposed role in treasonous plot variously called the Northwest Conspiracy, the Copperhead Movement, and similar names in the old Northwestern states such as Indiana and Ohio. These people are terrorists. It's no coincidence or government always putting out something into the media. Oh, we got UFOs. Oh, we got this. Oh, we got that. It's a terrorist attack. No. It's them. They telling you things is happening, but who is creating these things to happen in the first place? It's like them throwing up a rock and telling you it's a meteorite coming to hit Earth. Doop. Oh my, look, it's a meteorite. They throw up a whole bunch of rocks and be like, oh my gosh, it's meteorites coming to hit Earth. Come look at that. Come look. Look. Secret societies. KKK is a secret society. They go by many different names. It took place under many other names before it took notice as the KKK. We covered so many other organizations, and you can also do your own research and find a plethora of other organizations that correlate with the so-called KKK and secret societies. You will find a whole bunch of stuff. Highly suggested y'all do your own research. This video was based off of my research that I had put together, that I found. Let me know in the comment section down below what y'all points of views and what are y'all perspectives. Now, if you want to see more from my channel, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss out. And this YouTube channel is all about raising the level of consciousness as well as raising our vibrations. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow me on True Ascension. I'll see you next time. Peace and abundance, peace and chaos.